YouTube vinyl community, Neil Diamond fans, random people on the internet. My name is Giggens, and we are here today to talk about Neil Diamond's album "Do It," released on Bang Records in 1971. This album is a compilation album made up of B-sides, album cuts, and more interestingly enough, unreleased material that hasn't seen the light of day since. It was only featured on this album and one other album that I know of. This album was released at a very interesting time because at this point in the early 70s, Neil was really proving himself as a very serious songwriter, delving deep into his own life and experiences with autobiographical tracks like I Am I Said and Brooklyn Roads. He was finding his own voice in the music world, writing about what he knew best, himself. He wasn't afraid to be vulnerable with his lyrics, and his vocal performances had this, at sometimes shaky confidence that reminded the listener that even though he was famous and making records, he was just like you. He was figuring out his place in the world and what that meant to him and where he was supposed to be. Now, that whole notion is super important to understand because when this album came out, that was the whole reason why he left Bang in the first place. Was Bang wanted him to be this, to continue his teeny bopper thing, as he referred to it, and he was ready to start the next chapter of his life. He was the label's biggest act, and Bang was scared to lose him. And, can you blame them? He's making them money. Of course they don't want him to go away. Neil recorded a new version of Shiloh he wanted to put out as a single. They said no, and then basically he said goodbye and went to a new label. He went to MCA Uni, and for a string of fantastic albums. And during that time, Bang put out a couple albums to sort of capitalize on Neil's growing success. And in 1970, they did put out the new version of Shiloh on an album with the same name, featuring all previously released tracks. And the song itself went up to the top 40, and of course it would. Neil was exploding at this point. Brother Loves Travel and Salvation Show, Sweet Caroline, Holly Holy, you name it, some of his biggest songs of his career at this point. And of course that would have done well. During his 2 years at the label, he put out 2 albums, and I'll show you. His very first album was called The Feel of Neil Diamond. See the songs that it features. And he put out Just For You. Fun fact for record collectors, this little thing here, including the current hit Thank the Lord for the Nighttime, there's different variants of the song that's featured in that spot. And then as he was getting ready to leave, they put out Neil Diamond's Greatest Hits. Yeah, so Bang was pretty shook up and bummed to lose him. And so that brings us up to this point, 1971, Do It. As a whole, it's a fantastic listening experience. It's made up of his B-sides and singles and, like I said before, unreleased stuff. And, his B-sides are fantastic. I say B-sides, but they were also album tracks. But his collection itself focuses on B-sides, as his other ones were mostly A-sides. The sequencing, I feel, doesn't really matter because all the songs have the same recording quality and the same production style, so they all kind of have the same, seamless transitioning, so it doesn't really matter what order the songs are in. The 2 new songs on here, which were probably the selling point to make this thing actually sell, Crooked Street and Shot Down, as far as I know, they've never been released ever since, except this is a British Greatest Hits album called Gold Diamond. And this is all early Bang stuff, but it features both songs on here on side 2. So, as far as I know, that's the only time these 2 songs have been released around these 2 releases. If you know more, please let me know. But Shot Down is this, this rollicking, almost Bo Diddley guitar-type rocker that has a double-track vocal from Neil, and it's this raw delivery that's just really loose for him and just kind of like a slacking kind of groove in time. Fantastic song. Crooked Street, the other song, is just him and a guitar. This really beautiful ballad. Fantastic lyrics, really heartfelt lyrics, sung from the heart. It's just him and a guitar. It may be a demo. There's nobody else on it. It may just be a demo. And as far as I know, those two songs were released either without his permission or behind his back, or there was some loophole that allowed for those two songs to come out. But those two songs have never seen the light of day ever since. So, fun fact, in 1979, Bang Records was sold to CBS Records, and then again in 1982, merged with Columbia Records, which at the time was Neil's current label. And then Neil was given the master tapes to all of his early Bang year stuff, and then put out this fantastic release, Classics, the early years. And this was my introduction to Neil Diamond when I was a kid, was this album. My dad had the cassette tape of it, and we wore that thing out. I love this album. Yeah, this album is very cool because this was the last time Crooked Street and Shot Down were released. I mean, even in 2011, Neil put this out, the Bang years, all in mono. All the songs were in mono. And, you know, it says the 23 original mono recordings, and then it's got a whole bunch of stuff on here, but not those two songs. So I think there's a reason that those two songs aren't recorded, is because he never meant for them to come out. I mean, overall, this album really is a fun listen. You can't go wrong with his early stuff. I mean, it's just fun, and it shows his growth as a songwriter. Here's a guy that at one point was eating 22-cent sandwiches and couldn't sell a song to save his life, and now he's one of the most famous people ever in the world in terms of the music business. You know, again, it's a collection of B-sides, album tracks, unreleased stuff. It's Neil on the path to becoming Neil Diamond. You know, the songwriter we all know and love. And, man, you know, I'd probably give this thing like a 7 or an 8. And I give that rating based on the fact that this was probably just a cash-in on Bang's part. You know, at this point, Neil was putting out Moods and Stones and Taproot Manuscript, these really, like, introspective albums with all kinds of influences from all over the world. Had nothing to do with the teeny bopper stuff he was doing on this stuff. And, but I mean, as far as it was like a last-ditch effort, kind of like, you know, hey, put something out there with Neil Diamond's name on it on Bang Records and see if it sells. And it went to number 100 on the U.S. chart, so I mean, it sold. As for the songs themselves, I mean, I gotta give them a 10. I love all these tracks. I mean, they're all great. And it's kind of nice to have a collection of his B-sides or slightly lesser known works, you know, like I'll Come Running or Love to Love or You'll Forget, The Long Way Home, Boat That I Row. I mean, there's just great stuff on here. Can't recommend it enough. Early Neil Diamond, unreleased Neil Diamond, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, that's it. Kind of a short one, but I really wanted to do this. I thought it warranted its own review. I think it's cool. You know, just think it's cool. My name is Giggens. This has been Album Reviews with Neil Diamond. Do It on Bang Records, 1971. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you in the next video. See ya.